Hello, my name's Mrs. Kluke, and I'm the librarian here at Ridgeview, and I am reading Chapter 9, Imprinting. 3 days and 29 mice later, Barty had a perch. His body had fattened and his head no longer drooped. When Leon put the perch down in the kitchen, Barty hopped up onto it, shook his feathers, and sat up straight. Only the yellowish talons of his big feet showed beneath his pantaloons. White down still covered most of his body, but sable-brown feathers were beginning to appear on his back and wing coverts. He was becoming a juvenile owl, who would soon be adorned with the immature feathers of his species. They would be different from his baby down and different from the feathers he would wear as an adult next year. Barty turned around 3 times, shook, and tucked his head into his shoulder feathers. Soon he was asleep. Leon and Borden had driven west to the redwood forest that grow along the coast to select this perch for Barty. It was a burl, or sprout, that rises from the roots of a parent redwood and develops into a tree more swiftly than a seed. Barty's sprout was about 2 feet high with a rounded top, the perfect foothold for his big feet and curved talons. Leon had found it on the root of a stump in an area he had once helped to clear-cut. As he carried it to the truck, he stopped by the stream at the foot of the mountain. The water was opaque with mud. No salmon were spawning in the shallows. He looked up at the clear-cut mountainside. They were supposed to replant, he said to Borden. Young trees would hold back this mud. He looked up at the devastation. They never should have clear-cut. What should they have done? Borden asked. Selected the big good ones. We had a good crew. We could have gotten them out without wiping out the forest. Been cheaper in the long run. When Sally came home from school, she didn't go to her room and close the door anymore, but went right to the kitchen. She had taken it upon herself to change the newspaper under Barty every day, vacuum his feathers, and put down fresh drinking water. I wish you'd keep your room as neat as you keep Barty, Cindy said as Sally scrubbed Barty's water dish. That's no fun, Sally answered. Taking care of a cute little owlet is. She picked up a pellet and was about to throw it out when Borden came in from school to change to his work clothes. Owl's that all about? He asked eagerly. It's a pellet, she said. Owls eat them. Owls eat their food whole. They cast what they can't digest before they eat again. Why? Pop wondered about them, Borden answered nonchalantly. I'll tell 'em they're perfectly normal. They're so normal, Sally went on, that if owls eat just beef and don't get the fur, bones, and feathers in rodents and birds, they won't be able to cast, and they'll get sickly. Birds of prey must cast. Borden went into the living room to tell Leon about the pellets. He was watching his afternoon program with Barty. Cindy glanced through the door at the 2 couch potatoes. Goodness, she said, I wish your father would find a job, any job. He worries about that bird all the time. He should read more about owls and stop worrying, Sally said. I worry about what's going to happen to Barty after the hearing. Borden's going to let him go, Cindy answered, and Pop's going to kill him. Why? Well, she said, they may not be able to do either. A curly smile moved from her lips to her eyes, and they twinkled. Birds imprint on the people who raise and feed them. What does imprint mean? Cindy asked. It means they think the person nurturing them is mother, and that they look like that person. They love that mother very much and follow her everywhere, even if it is a man or a robot. And that's not so good for Pop and Barty. It's charming, said Cindy. What's the matter with that? It means, said Sally, that Pop is Barty's mom, and Barty won't want to go back to the wild. And, she went on, it also means Pop won't want to wring the neck of the little creature that loves him. Cindy put down the dish towel, turned around, and stared at Sally. Where have you learned all this? From my science teacher, Mr. James. Sally, Cindy's eyes were wide, the pupils sharp. Have you told that teacher about this owl? No. Then why did he tell you about imprinting? He told the Ecology Club about imprinting, Sally answered. I belong to the Ecology Club. What? Cindy gasped. With Pop out of work because of ecology lovers? How could you join their club? It's interesting, Sally answered. Your Pop won't like it, Cindy said. You'd better tell him right now. I'll tell him, but I'll tell him at the perfect time. What do you mean, the perfect time? When Barty is thoroughly imprinted on Pop and Pop loves him. She considered her words and made them more accurate. When they are bonded, she said. Cindy shook her head, but she also smiled. Leon came into the kitchen, but Barty put Barty on the perch, said a few words, then went out the door. The owlet crouched to follow Leon. He flapped his wings, but they were not strong enough to carry him in flight. He folded them to his body and pinned his eyes on the door through which Leon had gone. Sally watched the owlet with great interest. I think the perfect time is almost here, she said, sinking her fingers into the deep, soft feathers on his head and scratching the little skull. Don't you, pretty little owlet? Barty blinked slowly, bringing his lower lids to the upper. You think he's your mom, don't you? Sally said. Do you think you look like him? I think he does, said Cindy. They both have beards and big black eyes. And that's the end of chapter 9. Have a good day. Bye.